Okay, we're trying this challenge again, and I am using only cards that I get out of Triumphant Light booster packs. We can pick one Pokemon per pack to use on our team, and we cannot use a Pokemon of the same type twice. Obviously, I could pick a legendary, but most of them are unusable for majority of the game, so that would kind of be a stupid thing to do. Anyways, we're gonna give this a try. Triumphant Light, so we get to open 6 packs. We take one Pokemon from each pack, and that is the Pokemon that we have to use on our team. Without any further ado, let's get into our first pack of Triumphant Light. Here we go. We get to pick one Pokemon, and we cannot use the same type twice, so we have to be careful with what we pick. We get a Golbat, an Adaman, which is obviously useless, a Mawile, a Ghastly, and a Giratina, which I don't even know. So basically our options are between Ghastly, Golbat, and Mawile. The odds that we get a better steel type are pretty slim. We're gonna pick Mawile out of the first one. We're gonna pick Mawile here. Okay, Mawile is in as the steel type. Let's open up our second pack and see what our next team member is going to be. Here we go. I wouldn't mind a decent pull at any point during this. Okay, we got a Magneton, which of course is a steel type, so we can't use it anyways. A Bronzor, which is also a steel type. A Krogunk. A Vespiquen. Okay, interesting. And a Clefable at Psychic type. So it's got to be between Vespiquen and Clefable here. I'm going to go with Clefable. I think there's a better chance we could get a better grass type. I think that's the play here. Okay, Clefable is now in 2. We're going to use our hourglasses to open up a next pack. Here we go. Next pack. Okay, Azumarill. Oh, there's a good card out of here. That's great. That's probably what we're going to take. I mean, probably. Electrike, definitely not. Pupitar, definitely not. Magnemite, nope. And okay, wow, that's a decent Magnemite card. I did not have it. This one is a very, very easy one. Azumarill is going to be a great Pokemon, especially against Cynthia. That is humongous. We're taking Azumarill for sure. Okay, that is half the team down. I like how it looks so far. We have a water type, a psychic type, and a steel type. Let's see what we get out of this one. Oh my goodness. Houndoom. Could be a great fire type. Azumarill again. Meryl. Mawile again. And a Shaman. I mean, this one we could have got pretty screwed on, to be honest. Here's the pack. We got to take Houndoom here. I think that's a great pull as well. That gets us a good fire type. Houndoom it is. All right, we got 2 more packs to go. The team is looking quite good so far. Like, I'm definitely happy with this. I am very happy with this so far. We're bound to get screwed once. Hopefully, it's not this time. Ooh, we get some Rainbow. We got a decent card out of this. Azumarill is the first one. Magnemite. A Manectric. A Cherubi. And that same Magnemite card from earlier. Well, this one again is an obvious choice. We're taking Manectric. That'll get us an electric type. It's fully evolved. This could not be going better right now. I'm very excited to play this game. We're taking Manectric. We are on to our last pack. We're going to spin the pack around this time for the last pack. Here we go. A Gengar. We cannot take a psychic type. That would have been kind of unreal, but unfortunately we can't take a psychic type. We cannot take a steel type, so that Bronzor is out. We cannot take a water type, so Azumarill's out. Oh my goodness, we can take a darkness type, and Toxicroak is awesome. It is the only card we can take out of this entire pack. I am totally happy with that. I am super happy with what this team is going to look like. Toxicroak, final team member. Okay, so it turns out Manectric is actually unavailable until you get the national dex, which means that we have to beat the game first. And of course, we can't use him to play the game if we can't get him until we beat the game. So, found this Wonder Pick. It has 2 grass types, a fighting type, and a colorless type, which gives us the largest odds of getting a team member that isn't a fire type already. So any of these other types are still usable except for the fire type. We'll do this Wonder Pick because it guarantees us a new team member pretty much, unless we get super unlucky and get Houndour again. Let's see who we get as our final team member. Instead of Manectric, we get a Donphan. We still can't use Phanpy because in order to get a Phanpy or a Donphan, you have to have the national dex. So that one's out. I guess we'll just try another one. There's a chance that we get Raichu, Gibble, or Gabite. I think our luck is running pretty thin here. I'm going to go with the last card. Here we go. It's a Gibble. Okay, well, we know we can definitely get Gibble. That's our final team member. Let's actually finally get on to the game. Okay, so apparently Mawile only available after the national decks, which means we can't get it yet. So I found this other wonder pick. I'm gonna just do it quickly right here. Here we go, wonder pick for our last team member. And we get a Magneton. We're gonna roll with it. That's our final team member. End of story. Magneton, final team member. It's settled. In this challenge, I'll mostly be following Nuzlocke rules, except our team members will not have to be permanently boxed if they faint. This makes the challenge actually doable, but still provides us with a healthy amount of difficulty. I wake up in front of this strange old man and we tell him our name. I can't bring myself to name our rival anything other than Barry, so I do just that and wake up shortly in my room. I don't think that TV has an HDMI cable. I don't understand how a Switch is going to work on it, but... I head over to Barry's house and he coerces us into heading into the dangerous world without any form of protection. It takes all of 30 seconds for his plan to go horribly wrong and we're forced to steal some Pokemon. I pick Chimchar as our loner as we can't actually get a legit team member until before the second gym. I defeat the Starly, then Dawn catches us red-handed. She doesn't even ask for the Pokemon back, so we just leave the lake. Even the professor doesn't seem concerned, so he just walks away silently for some reason. As soon as we're able, we run to Sandgem Town to speak with Rowan and hope he lets us keep our Chimchar, and luckily he does. I name it Loner and we can finally go through the most excruciating catching tutorial I can remember to date. Maybe it's just recency bias, but oh my god, this was a painful process. After a short while, we make it to Jubilife City and Dawn thinks she's way better than us and suggests we go back to school. We find Barry there and he generously gives us a town map. We're then gifted a Poketch and I waste no time using it for mature purposes. If you look at the screen upside down right now, you would see something absolutely hilarious. The game clearly didn't like the use of its mechanics, so we end up getting stomped by Barry on the first fight. Luckily, I'm not doing a hardcore Nuzlocke or this would have been much more unfortunate. I also figured the first gym would be impossible with just Charmander, so I go out and capture another helper for the first part of this game. I name Budew Poop and return to Barry to destroy him. I finally challenge Rourke and the Loner Poop combo makes relatively easy work. I'll definitely not mention the fact that this took 4 attempts for some reason, but oh well. After a quick run-in with Team Blue Bowl Cut, we finally make it to Mount Coronet to actually acquire our first team member, Cleffa. I capture it and name it Muffin. I make it to Eterna City and we're introduced to the source of so much childhood drama for so many. Scary chick. It was here I made a few unfortunate realizations that would be needing fixing right away. Okay, so just a quick update. We have caught a Cleffa. I want to be 100% honest. I think it would just be impossible. It'd be impossible to beat this gym with just a Cleffa. So we are just going to use Loner for the last gym. After this gym, we get the underground kit and we can really start motoring on getting our team together. After this, Loner and Budew are in the box for good, never to be seen again. And we can actually start to challenge. This means that our final battle with Loner and Budew begins, and with the Monferno at our side, this fight is just as easy as you could possibly imagine. After the fight, we head to the Galactic Building and fight our way to the top in order to battle Commander Jupiter. We take her out easily and finally head to the Underground Man's house in order to gain access to the Sinnoh Grand Underground. This area is crucial to us acquiring some team members and items that we'll need for the rest of the game. The first encounter we can find in the underground is in Volcanic Cave. I've reset the area a couple of times and before too long, Houndoom appears. We capture it and before we can give it a name, Muffet evolves into Clefairy. I name Houndoom Chili, and it's finally time for us to officially say goodbye to our temporary team members. Okay, now that we have Chili and Muffin, we can officially retire Loner and Budew. Immediately after we say our goodbyes, I head to Swampy Cave to find a Krogunk. This thing put up an insane fight for some reason, but we finally catch it and name it Blueberry. Our last objective in the underground for now is to head to Spacious Cavern to capture Magnemite. It puts up much less of a fight than Blueberry, so I catch it and name it Cookie. I make it to Hearthome City and I'm stopped by Barry for a battle. This is the first battle with our new team, so I'm excited to give it a try. Barry leads with Starly and I send out Cookie. We immediately take out Starly with an Electro Ball as Barry sends him Ponyta. I'm hit with a Flame Charge as I send in an Electro Ball. I probably could have stayed in here, but I decide to swap out Cookie for Muffin. I'm hit with a weak Flame Charge on the switch as I try to confuse with Sweet Kiss. It doesn't work and I'm hit with another Flame Charge, so I decide to swap out once again. I send in Chili and use Bite to take out the Ponyta. Barry then sends in his Ace Prinplup and I have to swap out Chili. I send in Blueberry and use Venoshock as Prinplup uses Stealth Rock. I use Sucker Punch, then take a weak Metal Claw, and on the next turn, one more Headbutt is plenty to take Prinplup out. Barry's last Pokemon is Roselia and I use a Venoshock, doing almost half. A few more Leech Seeds and Magical Leaves get me quite low, so I decide to switch back to Chili to finish the job. Chili doesn't actually have any Fire-type moves at the moment, but it's still enough to take Roselia out and secure us the victory. Afterwards, I spend a good amount of time training along the way to Veilstone City, and we finally feel prepared enough to battle Maylene. She leads with Meditite, and we send out Blueberry. She goes for Bulk Up as we go for a Headbutt, which does pitiful damage. Maylene uses Bulk Up again, and I use a Venoshock. It does a ton more damage, and on the next turn, we take Meditite out with another Venoshock. Maylene's next Pokemon is Machoke, and I
decide to swap to Muffin. We're hit with a powerful Rock Tomb, and I use Dazzling Gleam, which takes Machoke into the deep yellow. We survive a Bulldoze on the next turn, then take Machoke out with Dazzling Gleam. Maylene sends out our last Pokemon Lucario, and this guy will be the true test for our team. I'm expecting a Metal Claw, so I immediately swap to Chili. I was correct in my prediction, but unfortunately I'm slower and Lucario takes Chili out with a Drain Punch. I send in Blueberry instead and use Bulldoze. It does about a quarter of Lucario's health, and I decide to swap to Muffin. Little did I know Lucario was queuing up a Metal Claw, and Muffin gets destroyed on the switch. I send Blueberry back in and use Bulldoze again, which takes Lucario to within one hit. Very fortunately, Lucario still has too much health for a potion, so one more Bulldoze is more than enough to KO and secure us the third gym badge.
I did not think we were going to do that first try. There is no way. I did not think we were going to do that first try.
Technically, our first legitimate one of this run. After the fight, we head to the Team Galactic warehouse to help Dawn get her Pokedex back. Chili makes easy work of the battle, and we can begin to make our way to Pastoria City. I head straight to the Great Marsh to find our next team member there. There's a chance of catching Marill or Azurill here, so we have to take whichever we find first. It actually took a very long time to find one, and we made a couple of mistakes along the way. Oh no.
Oh my god, did spamming A just make... Oops. I did not mean to catch this. I did not mean to catch this at all. We will call you... Oopsies. Seems fitting.
After 3 full trips to the Safari Zone, we finally find an Azurill and capture it. I name it Cupcake, and it has the ability Huge Power, which is amazing for us. I then take a moment to release all of our unusable team members back into the wild and set my sights on Crasher Wake. Before we challenge him, we evolve Cookie into Magneton, and I intended on evolving Azurill into Marill, but god, I was fed up with the friendship evolutions at this point.
Okay, just for the record, before we start this fight, I am tired of the friendship evolutions. I did not evolve Azurill. It was just too much of a pain in the fucking ass. I can't do it, man. I can't walk around for 10 hours straight just to evolve into a Marill.
On that note, Wake leads with Gyarados, and I start with Cookie. I take a weak crunch before hitting Gyarados with a quad-effective Thunderbolt, and that's more than enough to deal with it. Wake sends out Quagsire, and I use Magnet Rise right away to give us immunity to ground moves. We avoid Quagsire's first attack and hit it with a Tri-Attack, which does almost half. We're then hit with a powerful Scald that ends up burning us. I switch Cookie out and send in Blueberry. Quagsire uses Rain Dance, and I think twice about Blueberry again and switch to Muffin. I get hit with another Scald and confuse Quagsire with Sweet Kiss. I send Blueberry in again, and the oncoming Scald doesn't affect us due to our ability Dry Skin. I use Headbutt a couple of times, and it's not quite enough to KO, and Quagsire basically isn't confused as he hits every turn, and eventually a Mud Shot hits us so hard that I'm forced to swap back to Cupcake. Quagsire once again breaks through confusion and takes us to below half with a Mud Shot, so I take Cupcake out and send in Chili. We use a powerful Bite and tank a weak Mud Shot before frustratingly Quagsire snaps out of confusion. A couple more turns of bites and lucky flinches, and Quagsire is finally KO'd. Wake sends out his ace Floatzel, and I need to swap Chili out as soon as possible. I figure Floatzel is going to use a water move, so I switch to Blueberry to heal him up instead. I then spend a few turns swapping between Chili and Blueberry to heal him up to full, and eventually I keep it in to use a Venoshock. I don't even get that far as I get served with a huge helping of complete bullshit.
Holy mother of God. Of course we get crit and flinch.
After Blueberry goes down, I gather myself and send in Cookie. I use a Thunderbolt which decimates the Floatzel and earns us the 4th gym badge. Many will ask why I didn't just send in Cookie earlier, and I wish I had an answer to that, but unfortunately I do not. After chasing a Plasma Grunt out of town, Barry stops us and asks for a battle. Our team is much more well-rounded now, so we take him out without any problems whatsoever. We encounter Scary Lady again, and she gives us a secret potion in order to move the Psyduck on Route 210. We use our potion, and Cynthia shows up again to get us to bring a charm to her grandmother for her. I guess she's too busy bullying an entire generation of kids to go visit her grandmother herself. I deliver the charm and run into Creep Fest staring into our souls. He speaks some nonsense about creating a new world, then goes along on his way.
What an odd thing to say to a child.
I spend quite a bit more time in the Grand Underground, and we have some good news and bad news.
So I have spent hours in the Grand Underground looking for a Moonstone to be able to evolve Clefairy. I cannot find one to save my goddamn life. We did find a Thunderstone though, so we can evolve Cookie, but holy shit, I can't find a Moonstone. I just can't find one, man. They don't exist in this game.
At least we have a Magnezone now. I then head back to Hardhome City to challenge Fantina. I was very confident I could dummy her, so I go into the fight below our level cap. She leads with Drifblim and I send out Cookie. A single Thunderbolt takes Drifblim out easily and Fantina is on to Gengar. I keep Cookie in to use another Thunderbolt, which also KOs Gengar in a single hit. Her last Pokemon is Miss Magius and I keep Cookie in. She uses Phantom Force, but it hits like a teddy bear thrown by an infant, and Thunderbolt almost takes it out in one hit, but it's left in the red. Fantina uses a couple of potions, but it's just prolonging the inevitable, so after a few more Thunderbolts, Miss Magius falls and we defeat Fantina easily. With the Relic Badge acquired, we can now surf to Canalave City. Barry meets us on the bridge there, and once again we have a good answer to each and every one of his Pokemon, so we mow them down one by one, then continue with our adventure. Afterwards, we're blessed with an utter miracle. Oh my god. Finally. With our new Marill finally on our team, we immediately evolve into a Azumarill. Right before challenging Byron, Blueberry also hops on the evolution train and we have a Toxicroak. I feel like I have a good enough strategy to beat this guy. I think we can do it. The fight with the 6th gym leader begins and he leads with Bronzor. The only thing we can't let him do is use Trick Room or else we pretty much lose the fight, so I lead with Chili. Luckily Bronzor is slower and we take it out with Flamethrower. Byron's next Pokemon is Steelix and I'm expecting an Earthquake, so I immediately swap to Cupcake and Earthquake does about half. I hit Steelix with a powerful Aqua Tail and instead of taking us out with Earthquake, Byron uses Sandstorm instead. This means we're free to take Steelix out with another Aqua Tail. Byron sends out his ace Bastiodon and I'm anticipating a Flash Cannon, so I swap to Cookie right away. He ends up using Thunderbolt, which we're quad resistant to, and Bastiodon has no moves that can really hurt us at all, so after a few turns we take out the ace and nab ourselves the 6th badge. We run into Barry outside the gym.
Guy says he's tougher and he hasn't even come close to beating us. Not even remotely close.
And he gets us to come to the most godforsaken place of all time. The library. Inside we have a little powwow with Dawn and Rowan before a massive explosion goes off. Rowan tells us all to split up and of course he sends us to Ground Zero.
Yeah, send us to the explosion. Nice guy.
Before heading to the wreckage, I wander off to Wayward Cave where we can finally capture our final team member, Gibble. Gibble is going to be pivotal for the remainder of the game and a huge member of the team. I capture the Gibble and name it Bagel. I take one more trip to the underground to continue my search for the elusive Moonstone, and my frustration was definitely mounting. This legit took me real time, multiple days, and it was torture. A water stone, no! Moonstone. What is that, an Everstone? Bro, I can find an Everstone, but not a Moonstone.
Motherfucker, I cannot do this shit for much longer. Moonstones don't exist. They just don't. They don't. This is insane. Alright, it's another day, another trip to the mines. I can't get enough of the mines. I can't find a Moonstone, and I am going absolutely fucking crazy. Why did they make it so hard? I just want a Clefable, man. Is that too much to ask? Where is the only thing that's supposed to be in this wall? Oh, you've got to be shitting me. Fuck. What a joke. This is a joke. I try a different strategy to find a Moonstone, and it involves catching another Houndoom that knows Thief, and trying to steal one from a wild Clefairy. They only have a 5% chance to hold a Moonstone, so this plan may just be as bad as digging for one, but I had to try anyways. Needless to say, this was an equally bad plan. This meant I was back to digging, and after another hour or so, the impossible finally happened. Oh! Yes! Yes! Oh! Finally! Oh my god, that took forever. Oh, I can't believe we finally got one. Oh my god. I hold off evolving Muffin for now as it learns Moonblast to level 44, so we'll wait for that. With that nightmare out of the way, I head over to Lake Valor and challenge the Galactic Grunts before coming face to face with Commander Saturn. Two baddies complete garbage and we win easily. Once we kiss Saturn goodbye, we head back to Lake Verity to check on Dawn and Rowan. After one of the grunt fights, Bagel evolves into Gabite. We encounter Commander Mars again and she suffers the exact same fate as Saturn. We're then tasked with checking on Barry at Lake Acuity, but I take a detour to the Snow Point gym to challenge Candace first. She leads with Snover and I send in Chili. We outspeed on the first turn and take Snover out with a quad effective Flamethrower. Candace sends in Sneasel and we go for Flamethrower, but not before Sneasel uses Dig. I don't want to get hit by it, so I swap Chili out for Bagel and we can tank the hit. It still does over half, so I switch back to Chili. Sneasel hits us with an Avalanche, then goes for Dig once more. Expecting a Metal Claw, I send in Cookie, but Sneasel uses Hone Claws instead. Sneasel goes for Dig once again, but I use Magnet Rise to give us immunity to ground moves. I hit Sneasel with a Thunderbolt after and it destroys it in one hit. Candace sends in Medicham and I go for Volt Switch, but not before we get smoked by a Brick Break
Earthquake and are left on 1 HP. The Volt Switch connects and does big damage as I switch to Cupcake. Metacham uses a weak Ice Punch before I hit it with a Play Rough and take it out. Candace sends out her Ace Abomasnow and I use Play Rough, but that does about half. Abomasnow heals with a Citrus Berry, then uses Aurora Veil. I go for Play Rough again, not realizing Abomasnow has Giga Drain, even though I have his moveset right in front of my face on my other screen. Needless to say, Cupcake goes down and I'm free to swap to Chili. I outspeed and use a quad effective Flamethrower, which is plenty to deal with the Abomasnow. Silly mistake by me, but I take the 7th badge anyways. At Lake Acuity, Jupiter is bullying Barry and it's kinda hilarious, but we can't enjoy it for long as we have to head back to Eternity to challenge Team Galactic once more. I fight my way through the endless amounts of grunts before Muffin finally gets to level 44 and learns Moonblast. Okay, now the moment I've all been waiting for, one of the most painstakingly hard evolutions of my recent memory. Finally, we can evolve Muffin into Clefable. What a journey it's been. With our team almost fully evolved, we take it to the boss's office and face off against Galactic Leader Cyrus for the first time. He leads with Murkrow and I send out Cookie. I'm hit with a Nightshade before pummeling Murkrow with Thunderbolt. Cyrus sends in Golbat next and another Thunderbolt is plenty to get the KO. His last Pokemon is Sneasel and a single Flash Cannon takes it out and gets us the victory. Cyrus then gives us a Master Ball as a reward, then runs off to Mount Coronet. We take a quick detour to bully Saturn once more, which allows us the ability to free Mesprit, Azelf, and Uxie from captivity. After freeing the Lake Trio, I head over to Mount Coronet to stop Cyrus's evil plan for good. Dude, this point of the game is just such a grind. It's just Galactic Grunt after Galactic Grunt after weak-ass Commander after Galactic Grunt after motherfucker. Oh my goodness, it's a grind. Cyrus is getting prepared to unleash Dialga to destroy the world and create a new one, but just for shits and giggles we need to fight Mars and Jupiter once more before challenging Cyrus. Barry teams up with us for this battle and they are defeated swiftly. After our win, Dialga almost fulfills Cyrus's wishes, but the Lake Trio shows up once more and calms Dialga down. Cyrus is right pissed at this and challenges us to one last fight. His team is way more powerful than before and he leads with Honchkrow. I send out Chili and immediately swap to Cookie. I use Thunderbolt and KO the Honchkrow right away. Next up is Gyarados and it outspeeds and uses Earthquake, which amazingly we survive on 2 HP. I use a quad effective Thunderbolt on the next turn and take Gyarados out easily. Up next, Cyrus sends in Weevil. I'm expecting it to use Dig, so I go for Magnet Rise. I was correct in my prediction and the Dig does no damage. I hit it with a Thunderbolt and it takes Weevil to below half. I swap out to Chili and Weevil uses Fling, which does a laughable amount of damage. Unfortunately, Weevil is still faster than us, so it goes for Dig again and I switch back to Bagel to tank the hit. It still does big damage, so I switch out to Cupcake on the next turn. We tank the oncoming Dig very well, then hit Weevil with a quad effective superpower and it's plenty enough to take it out. Cyrus sends in his last Pokemon Crobat and we swap to Blueberry to tank the cross poison. I'm expecting an Air Cutter on Blueberry here, so I switch him out in place of Chili. The Air Cutter does almost nothing and I go for Flamethrower, doing over half. I decide to stay in with Chili to tank another cross poison and use Flamethrower again to defeat Crobat and win us the fight. Cyrus gets major poopy pants and runs away and we're free to go on to challenge Dialga. Of course, I never pulled Dialga out of any of my packs, so I must defeat the God of Time and move on with the rest of the game. I head back to the Grand Underground to catch Bagel out to the rest of the team when something absolutely insane happens. Oh shit, I didn't even notice, bro. He's shiny. Oh my god. I did not notice. Yo, no way. I guess we're replacing ours, because I'm using the shiny one. I name our shiny friend Chili 2.0 and it's replacing our current Chili. The last thing we do before heading to the final gym is evolve Bagel into Garchomp. I am finally prepared for the final stretch of this game and we begin the fight with Volkner. Okay, 8th gym. I have a great team. Can't complain up to this point, so we're going to try and beat Volkner here. Volkner sends out Raichu and I throw in Bagel. I get outsped and hit with a Surf, but it does less than half, so we're free to take Raichu out with Earthquake. Next up is Octillery and I'm expecting an Aurora Beam, so I take Bagel out for Cookie. We take the hit super well, so I use Volt Switch, which allows us to take out the Octillery and simultaneously get a free switch back to Bagel. Volkner sends in Ambipom and hits us with a Fake Out, which gets the flinch, so we're forced to sit there and take a powerful double hit. Bagel gets very low and uses Earthquake. It doesn't take out the monkey, so I'm forced to switch out again. I take a powerful double hit on the switch, then Volkner generously uses a Hyper Potion, which we steal all the effects from using Drain Punch. I'm hit with a relatively light Thunderbolt and Breakthrough Paralysis to KO Ambipom Ambipom with a Drain Punch. Volkner sends out his last Pokemon Luxray and I'm hit with a powerful Iron Tail. Blueberry survives the hit, so I use Toxic before swapping into Cookie. We're hit with a super weak Iron Tail, and the combination of a few turns of Flash Cannon and Poison damage is just enough to take Luxray out and earn us the 8th and final gym badge of the Sinnoh region. Right before being able to challenge the Elite Four, we're faced with our final rival battle against Barry. We had a pretty much perfect answer for every single member of Barry's team, and the only real close call was against his Heracross, but even still, this child was absolutely no match for our very balanced team. And before being able to challenge the final part of this game, we need to address a very glaring issue. We're still pretty far under our current level cap of 63, so I had to go spend quite a large amount of time training in the Grand Underground before we can finally begin the final challenge against the Elite Four. No joke, this took at least like 5 hours probably. I don't know if there's a better way to train out there, but this is the best I got.
I'm going to say for the record, the strategy going into this first fight against Ron is just to use Flamethrower. I think it will go very well, but we'll see here.
With my genius plan under my sleeve, I was feeling pretty confident, so the battle with Aaron begins and he leads with Dustox. I send out Chili 2.0 and begin the roast. Dustox goes down easily in one hit and Aaron sends in Heracross. It's at this moment I get instantly humbled and we're forced to watch Chili 2.0 go down to Brick Break. I am still not sure how we were outsped by Heracross here, but I guess I'm just a complete Pokemon rookie, so that's sweet. At least I get a free swap to Cupcake and KO Heracross with Play Rough. Aaron sends in Beautifly next and I decide to stay in with Cupcake and use Bounce. We connect on the next turn and knock Beautifly out. Next up is Vespiquen and I swap to Bagel. I miss a couple of Rock Tombs before finally connecting with one which does a little over half. Even with its Citrus Berry, one more Rock Tomb is plenty to KO Vespiquen. Aaron's last Pokemon is Drapion and a single Earthquake is more than sufficient to take it out and win us our first Elite Four matchup. Our next matchup is against the ground user Bertha. This was likely going to be our hardest Elite Four matchup, so I needed to lock in here. I hit Quagsire with a few Play Roughs before we get a little low. I swap to Muffin and get Quagsire low enough to draw out a full restore, and a couple more Moonblasts finally deals with Quagsire. Next, Bertha sends in Whiscash. I swap to Blueberry. I tank a weak Earthquake, then use Drain Punch. It does big damage and Whiscash kindly heals us back to full HP with Hydro Pump. I appreciate the gesture so much that I thank it by taking it out. Bertha sends in Golem and I immediately swap to Bagel. I trade Earthquakes for full restores until Bertha runs out of potions and we're free to take Golem out with Dragon Claw. Sudowoodo comes in next and it's slow as hell, so one Earthquake connects for the KO. Bertha sends out her Ace Hippowdon and I swap to Cupcake. I hit a powerful Aqua Tail, but it's not close to KOing, and Hippowdon uses a powerful Earthquake. We manage to hold on, but the Sandstorm has other plans for Cupcake and we watch her go down. I send in Muffin and end the battle swiftly with a Moonblast. That's half the Elite Four down, and now it's time to go on to the third member, Flint. This guy might be the biggest fraud trainer in all of Pokemon, as he claims to be a Fire-type trainer but has only 2 Fire types on his team. He leads with Rapidash and I send out Bagel. I take a lucky crit Iron Tail, then smoke Rapidash with an Earthquake. Up next is Lopunny and I keep Bagel in. A single Earthquake and Dragon Claw is more than enough to deal with Lopunny, and that's 2 enemy Pokemon down. Flint sends in Steelix next and I stick to the same strategy of Earthquake plus Bagel. Steelix gets us really low with Iron Tail and I take it out with another Earthquake. Bagel is now too low to stay in, so I'm forced to swap to Chili 2.0 to try and deal with Drifblim. We're hit with the Strength Sap and Drifblim swaps out with Baton Pass before we get a Foul Play off. Infernape comes in and I don't want to get hit by a close combat, so I swap out Chili 2.0. Cupcake comes in to tank the close combat and I'm predicting a Thunder Punch next, so I swap to Muffin right away in order to tank the Thunder Punch. My predictions work perfectly and I'm free to KO the Infernape with Moonblast. This means we have our entire team left to deal with Drifblim, and this thing has no attacking moves, so after a few minutes the Ghost Blimp is popped and we can move on to the final member of the Elite Four, Lucian. His psychic types would normally be quite intimidating, but we have Chili 2.0, so I'm not worried in the slightest. Lucian leads with Mr. Mime and I send in Blueberry. I use Poison Jab, which doesn't KO, but we get the poison, meaning Mr. Mime is done anyways. We didn't allow it to use any setup moves, which is absolutely perfect for us. Next is Alakazam and I immediately switch to Chili 2.0. A single Dark Pulse is more than enough to KO the Alakazam. Lucian sends out Medicham and I'm expecting a high jump kick, so I take Chili 2.0 out and send in Muffin. We tank the attack fairly well and then are free to KO Medicham with Moonblast. Girafarig is next and I use Sweet Kiss to confuse before switching Muffin out for Bagel. Unfortunately, Girafarig sets up Trick Room before we take it out, so Lucian's Bronzong will be able to outspeed us. Luckily, Bronzong has no moves that can really do us any harm, so I spam Crunch with Bagel until we finally take Bronzong out and punch our ticket to face Mega Bitch. I figured this battle was going to be a huge toss-up given the fact that we don't have a good answer for a few vital members of her team. That being said, I wasn't going to back down from a challenge, so I approach the scary woman and the battle begins. She starts with Spiritomb and I send out Muffin. With the addition of the Fairy type, Spiritomb actually has a weakness in these games, so a few Moonblasts is more than enough to KO. Cynthia sends out Roserade and I'm a little stuck here, so I decide to go with Blueberry. I hit with Poison Jab, but not before getting pounded by a Dazzling Gleam, which forces me to swap out yet again. I go with Cookie, and after taking a few Shadow Balls, I KO Roserade with a Flash Cannon. My special defense was lowered a couple of times, so I quickly swap out to Cupcake. I foolishly use Aqua Tail, which does no damage due to Storm Drain, so I switch back to Bagel. We can't be hurt too badly by this thing, so I spam Dragon Claw until Gastrodon falls. Cynthia sends out Melodic next, and unfortunately without a ton of good RNG, there's no way we can effectively take this thing out. I stupidly allowed Cookie to take too much damage earlier in the battle, and Melodic takes us out with Scald. Had I kept Cookie healthier, I believe I probably could have defeated the Melodic, but that still would have left Lucario and Cynthia's ace, Garchomp, which we had no good answers to either of them. This team we got was very strong and balanced, but we had no proper answer to a bunch of huge members of Cynthia's team, so there's just simply no chance of beating her. I'm always looking to improve, so if you know of any strategy I could have used to win this fight, please let me know in the comments because I'm genuinely curious. Or if you just want to torch me and my skills, that's fine also. I hope you at least enjoyed watching me get sauced and tossed by the strongest, most difficult trainer of all time, hands down. That's it. Breeze through the Elite Four and then run into that fucking roadblock, and good God, you don't have the right answers, man. Impossible battle. Just an impossible battle. Alright, that was absolutely not the conclusion that I wanted to this challenge, but you know what? You can't win them all. I'm sure I will have my revenge someday soon. I'm sure I will, but not today. Anyways, all depressive thoughts aside, I really hope you enjoyed that. Apologies for this video taking so long to get out. Life has just been insanely busy recently, and I'm hoping to get back to more of a consistent upload schedule. Subscribe if you haven't already. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate all of the nice comments, and even the mean ones make me laugh, so really appreciate any support you can give. A like would be amazing if you did like the video, of course, and I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourself.